Peace, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone is having a great Sunday. Hope everyone is having a good start to their August. We're now in the eighth month of the year. Time has been going really fast. So today's topic is gonna be honing in on four key points. And if you looked at the thumbnail, you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about teamwork, strategies, deadlines, and advances. And alternatives, excuse me. And I would like to delve into each of these four topics because I think it's important and I think it's something that we need to go in depth if we want to, move forward. So I'll give people a minute, and about the 2 minute mark is when I will, you know, go in depth of each point, what I see and what I notice, and what we can do to improve. All right, fam, we have approached the 2 minute mark. Remember to like, share, subscribe, register, and sign up to the website at baioafrican.org. So, as you see in today's thumbnail, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking about teamwork, strategies, deadlines, and alternatives. And the reason why I brought this up is because I think it's important for us to hone in on these four core principles in order to, grow, make sure things go smoothly, make sure there's not a lot of disarray, make sure that there's not a lot of messes going on because each of these four particular points serve a purpose and they serve a reason. And there are a plethora of other core principles out there, but I feel like these four were important, especially considering if you subscribe to Hollip's channel, the nationhood by osmosis. A week ago we did a week ago we did nationhood is intentional. Well, I did nationhood is intentional, and it was followed up with Hollip's nationhood by osmosis. And I really want to continue to add to what Hollip said. Some of the analogies he was making, like an organized team, making sure that you have all of the ingredients. So that it can be an edible dish, making sure it has the right amount, make sure that you mix the right stuff. All of that was mentioned in Hollip's video, and I just really want to, expound on it to include, these 4 points. The first one that I want to start with, we're gonna start in order. I want to start with teamwork, and the reason why I think teamwork is the most important aspect is in order for an organization to be a well-oiled machine, to be, fully functioning, in order to reach its full potential, there has to be teamwork. There has to be chemistry. People have to trust each other. People have to, make sure that everybody's on the same accord, make sure people are motivated, making sure that you have that structure in place so that everybody knows their roles, everybody knows what to do, everybody knows why they're there, and everybody can do what they can do to the best of their abilities. We can look at basketball, we can look at football, we can even look at your own personal lives. Look at when you're at a company. When you're at a company, it's not just a bunch of people with just skills there. Everybody has a particular role, everybody has a particular function, everybody has a particular, position, and that is there to ensure, there is flow. Now, whether or not they personally act that way, their leadership style, that's a whole nother thing. I have a book called the Student Leadership Challenge. I got this when I was vice president of the American Society of Civil Engineers in 2019 to the 2020 academic year. That was my sophomore year. And it talks about, the 10, examples of leadership. But to continue on about, teamwork and, structures is when you're in a company, you have your managers. You have, if you work at a fast food restaurant, you have your managers, you have your cashiers, you have your cooks, you have your janitors, you have the people who work the windows, you have the people who, are delivering in, the food. And if we go outside of the restaurant and we go to the overall restaurant chain, you have your marketers, you have your social media people, you have at the very top your CEOs, your vice presidents, your secretaries, your treasurers. It's the same thing, like I said, when I was, doing leadership and organization, you have your president, your vice president, your secretary, your treasurer, your historians, your senior advisors, your parliamentary chair. When I was, just an ordinary member at NSBE, you have these positions and roles so that everything can be fully functioning, making sure everything is a well-oiled machine, making sure there's no chaos, making sure that there's no mess. And when I look at nationhood and you look at it from that perspective to your daily life, that is what encompasses nationhood. Nationhood is not, just people like Garvey, people like Henry McNeil Turner back in the past, and people like today, Wahala, me, Dawood. It's not just a few of us. It requires the whole, you know, Black community. It's not just, like I mentioned before, us, but you guys. It's the person who's the nurse that's tuning in that wants to find, a way that she can see Black people succeed. It's the doctor that wants to help Black people, but feels handicapped in a white institution. It's the Black, researchers who feel that their works are taken, for granted. They're always double checked. People don't believe what they're saying. It's the Black engineers who get paid less than the white counterparts. It's people like you, fast food workers. And when we bring this together and we understand each other's roles, which is why we have, the BIO science, the BIO, IT, the BIO investors group. We have all of these different groups because it allows for you to accelerate in what you're good at. If you're good at, technology, you go into the IT. If you're just a person who's interested in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and you don't have a particular, specialization, you could join the STEM group. If you're into the healthcare position where you have, um, peace. Lucy, how you doing, sis? It's been a while. Peace, fam. You got to tell us, how you been going. But to continue on, you have that, transportation, making sure that you have what best fits you. And you know when you look at the most successful teams in basketball or even the debate team, everybody excels in what they're doing. So let's say the Los Angeles Lakers, when they won their championship, you had LeBron, you had AD, but you also had role players like Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee. You had you know um you had those people there. You had the Rajon Rondo, who was your veteran point guard. LeBron was your primary scorer. AD was your second scorer. He could shoot from the perimeter. That's what makes a team good. We can go even further to the Warriors. They had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. You had Andre Iguodala. You had all of these role players that knew what they were. You know, Steph was your ball handler. Clay was your spot up shooter. Andre Iguodala was your defensive player. Draymond is sort of like the point forward. He does sort of everything. That's what makes a successful team. When you're able to know what you're there for, and what we expect out of you. it allows for you to you know, do what you have to do. And side note, I am doing well. Of course, this whole mess that's going on here is just struggle, but I'm doing well and I'm more pumped and motivated than ever. So thank you for for saying that, Lucy. Really appreciate it. Um, that's what to me it ultimately comes down to. Making sure we're one unit. And one of the things I want people to know to continue on with our groups is that everybody here, is doing stuff. Lucy, has her own YouTube channel. She does her own work. Hollop has his own. Dawood has his own. My name is my name has his own. And we're all as a unit and we all understand each other's roles. We all understand, you know, what we have to do. And with me, since I know Liberian history, that's my role. That's what I do. That's why you see the Liberia, videos. You see the Liberian presidential series. You see the BAIO news because that's my role. That's my specialization, and that's what I'm expected to do. And it's my job to inform the public. You know, Dawood does his great work, understanding his experience in the Nation of Islam. Hollop, with his decades of experience, giving out his words of wisdom. That's what he does. That's what it's all about. It's not about, who gets the most points, you know and like she said, we making and shaking all over the continent. Liberia, my next stop. Congratulations, sis. Let us know how it is. If you're going before us in 2022, let us know what was going on so you can give us some extra foresight. I got some people working well with us, but if you're going there with earlier than we are, or you're going your own separate time, please let us know because we all the information you can get is all the valuable. Um, and that's the point right there. We're not, people who are standing around waiting to, you know, for somebody to do something. Everybody's doing their part. Everybody is doing, you know, leading by example themselves because you just don't need a person at the top tell you what to do. You can be your own leader. You don't have to be, the president, the vice president. As long as you're making that impact, you can do you can contribute. The next second point out of teamwork is strategy. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a game plan. And that's when we look at, organizations in the Black community that have failed us, or we feel don't make enough advancement, or we feel like with, certain communities, that are not up to our interests. We have to understand strategy. How are we approaching this situation? How are we approaching, you know, the approach of building? How are we approaching all of this? What do we know our strengths? Do we know our weaknesses? Do we know, the chemistry within us? Do we know what excites us? What causes tensions? Do we know this stuff? Do we know our target, for nationhood? Do we know, the situation that's going on the ground? Are we paying attention to the politics that's happening? Are we paying attention to, the cultural aspects that's happening? Any traditions, folklore? Are we connecting with any diaspora populations? And does that diaspora population align with our goals? These are stuff that we need to be talking about because ultimately, if you don't have these strategies, if you don't know what moves you're making and you're not calculated, you know we're in a jumbo mess. It's like, well, how upset are you? You just have a dish, you throw everything together and think you got an edible dish when it's unedible. You need strategies, you need approaches, you need people to study stuff. There's a reason why you have analysts, there's a reason why you have people who study foreign affairs, military affairs, domestic affairs. You have people to study that so that you can come up with strategies. You can come up with ways to, reach your mission and reach your objective. But we can't reach our mission and objective if we have no strategy. Because if there's no strategy, what's the game plan? And if there's no game plan, what are we doing? Are we just gonna play? But then that still requires us to play with a strategy. When it comes down, you need a strategy, and that strategy needs to be clear. When you used to play sports when you were younger, when you used to play or not even just sports, but when you were part of a debate team or if you were part of a competition like I was with FBLA and DECA, you have to come with a strategy. What are you being graded on? And how do I approach this? If I'm doing a presentation and I'm being graded on, the presenting my presentation, my oral skills, the content that I have, and I see the rubric that I have. How am I approaching this now? What do I need to do to make sure that I get the max amount of points? That's what you have to think about. You can't just say, all right, I'm just going to do a presentation and then I think I'm going to get first place or get the best of the best. Unless, and sometimes, you're the only person. No, what makes you good is you came with a strategy. I remember when I was doing FBLA by myself and I was doing a sales presentation. It was my junior year. I had never done anything related to, FBLA. I did this agribusiness thing, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything. I just did it just to do it, just to support my local school's FBLA. Well, it was sort of, a mandatory thing at my previous school. But I remember doing FBLA in sales presentation. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I know for the sales presentation that I need something that I can do that's simple, something that can be rebranded, but it's something that I can buy that's relatively cheap, that doesn't cost a lot of money. And one of the things I did was candy, selling a candy. And that was the easiest thing that I could have done. But it worked into my favor because I ended up scoring second place. Then went to state, did the exact same approach, um, third place. Okay. And that's what built up my confidence to be able to compete. But it was coming with that strategy of, okay, I love to talk. I'm a great speaker. So I know my strengths. I love to speak. I speak with clarity. Okay. I know that I can't buy something that's really, really expensive. Okay. I need something that's cheap. Understanding those different approaches allowed for me to perform the way that I did, and it would carry on when I did, DECA my senior year. When I went back to do FBLA, you know, that's how it all began, and that's the importance of strategy. Understanding, let us come together and say, okay, what do we have? What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? Who can do what? Who is capable of doing this? Who's capable of doing that? You know, what organizations are in the location that we're looking for? What cities do we need to go to and why? Why should we invest in these counties? Why should we invest in these industries? What kind of qualifications and investments do I need to make in? That counts and that matters. And that ultimately is what's going to ensure whether or not you win or you lose. You're not going to win all the time, obviously. Nobody's undefeated unless you're karma in the universe. Unless is that, you're bound to lose. But you have a fighting shot. You have a chance to win. And that's what it all comes down to. You have a chance to win. Anything you want to add, Emoja? Because I'm about to head to the third point, which is deadlines. If you would like to add to the previous two topics that I was talking about with teamwork and strategies, let me know what you got. Any opinions that you have on it.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I when you first when you was talking about the first topic, it just made me think about it made me think about the it was actually a post I just posted, Jabari, and I don't think you know because you don't be on Facebook a lot like that. But I posted it says something like number reasons number reasons number 200 and something something and something 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 or why I love to be IO. And I said our most vociferous member is happens to be a gay man. The most traveled people in our organization and the most people who are currently on the continent now are women. Then I named off a bunch of the different education spheres of education that are in the group, the different uh, careers that are in the group, and what I did was basically show how vast of experience in life and how vastly different we all are as an organization, and instead of just being all the same people, trying to make something happen. And it's those different parts that when you put them together makes the BAIO. And you literally was saying it. I was like just getting up and stuff, and I was listening to you talking. I was like, man, he literally saying what I just posted when you was talking about the first thing. And it's such a beautiful thing, right? Because you need those, and you literally already said it. You need five fingers to make a full hand. Like if you lose the pinky, you really messed up, right? If you lose your pinky toe, you can't even walk straight type stuff. You need a full body of people to make this thing work. And it's just frustrating because what you're talking about right now and what I'm talking about right now is the boring shit. This is the boring part of making this stuff work. When you're talking about we need people with different expertise, we need to do analytics, we need to study and research the land, and we need to know the political environment, bro. That's the boring stuff. Like it's not too many people who get excited how especially you do about this stuff. And that's the and that's the issue, right? Because when we look at our situation, it's like I ask myself, when are we gonna get serious? Like as a people, and I just stop there. But when I first heard you, I was like, this fool literally like almost saying like summing up that post I just made. That was just really, really funny. But that's it. Go ahead. Keep on cooking. Go on to your next points.
Yeah, and so before I get to that point, I would like to add to your point that, like you said, that's the boring stuff. But at the end of the day, all of that boring stuff and hard work is going to show out, similar to how, yes, doing suicides and doing all of these, exercises and eating right is tedious and it's boring.
Exactly.
But when you get onto the basketball court, people going to
That's a
see
great point.
who's in shape, who's been
That's a
playing
great point. Yeah,
and
I like how
who's
you did
winning.
that.
We can see that. We can see who's been putting in the work and who just showed up. And we'll see in the box score office. We'll see in the box scores. You know, like I said, your actions tell. Um, but to get to the third point that I want to bring up is deadlines. And this is one that has been allergic in many, organizations. Well, if you're professional organizations, you know what I'm talking about. Deadlines. We need to know when you want stuff done, when you need stuff done. We don't need you to say, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. No, we need to know you're going to do it by this time period. So an example would be, um, With underrated mind, with his underrated thought. It's every Thursday. So we know every Thursday he does underrated thought. Or if he's busy and he can't do it, we understand and we know. But it's not just post randomly whenever we want to or stuff like that. You want to be very calculated and you want to have deadlines. That's why for me, even when I do my videos, I film sometimes my videos a day before I actually posted. So some of the videos you see I had completed the day earlier. But I have that deadline of today I want this video done so that tomorrow I can edit it. I want to have these three topics discussed by this time. Even in your personal life. Um when you are on the job, you have deadlines. Your employer, your project manager, whoever it is will tell you by this time, we need this done. It might be 2 months, 3 months in advance, or it might be in the next hour. But you have deadlines because deadlines create a sense of urgency and it keeps you on track to reach your goals. If I don't have a deadline and I just do it whenever, I'll keep pushing it back and back and back. And there's somebody in the community, everybody knows who he is, don't need to say his name, but talking about, trying to build a school. And he said, it'll be ready this year, no, next year, the following year, the following year. No, we need that deadline to be set in stone. It's going to be done by this time, and I'm going to make sure that it is done. There's a reason why I wanted it done by next year in the summertime, preferably around May. I want to give people enough time. I want to make sure that everybody can have the finances. I want to make sure that I'm done with school so that there's no coming into conflicts. I want to make sure all of this stuff is in line. So when we go, nobody can say, well, I was unable. Well, we gave you a full year in advance. We gave you a full year in advance. Now, if a situation comes up, we understand life happens, but we want to give people enough time to get what they need to get done and create many deadlines so that when it comes time to do business, nobody's saying, well, I was coming out of nowhere, pulling some inexcusable or excuse, or like we said, an unexcused absence and can't participate. We want to make sure that we have those deadlines in place. And that's what I realized even as I look back on my college career. My GPA is not where it was what I wanted to be. I mean, I'm a high student. I mean, my GPA is good anyway. I mean, I'm going to graduate with honors either way.
Oh, you stop it.
But 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 my GPA is not as high as I want it to be because I did not set deadlines for myself. I would wait till when the teacher set a deadline instead of saying, no, the teacher says it's due next Friday. I want to have my stuff done by Friday. I want to have my that Friday before the Friday before it's due. I want to have it done Monday of that week. On Monday, it must be done. And I never did that. And as a result, I stressed myself out, didn't give 100%, and my grades showed for it.
Yeah, what you talk about, Bari, is is one of my most favorite concepts of the BAIO. It's one of my favorite things. Is the end game. That's what you're talking about. When you now in the instance of school, what's the end game? Graduating. Is graduating. Now you have to take steps in between there. You just don't go to school and show up, and then in 2 years, 4 years, here's your degree. Congratulations for showing up, right? And with the BIO, the end game is nationhood. Now there's so many steps that we have to take in between there. As individuals, what should you do, right? First and foremost, do your best to get to the continent. Get you a passport. Like anybody who listening to this is something that is very important. Anybody listening to this, and most people who are into this kind of content are usually like in some kind of community organization or even larger national or international organization. Ask them people what's the end game. What are we doing? What are we working towards? You know, that's what I want everybody to ask. And if you really honestly can say that you don't know, are you just working real hard and getting nowhere, then you got to ask yourself, are you in the right place? Like straight up, you have to ask yourself, are you in the right place? But that's the whole object of the exercise, is to have an end game. You don't just go to play the game and don't keep score. There is no whistles. It just never ends. And that's kind of what the quote unquote black struggle has been in America for a very long time. So in essence of that, we have to think about what is our end game. What are we doing this for? Yeah.
I like the point that you brought up with the scoreboard. Yeah, there's a deadline. You have 48 minutes. You have 12-minute quarters. Whoever scores the most points wins. But it's not 10 points, not 5 points. In basketball, we know what it is. 1 point for each free throw, 2-pointer, and a 3-pointer if you're behind the 3-point line. Everything is set. Everything is stone. Everybody knows the rules. Everybody knows what it is, that we know what types of fouls there are. So nobody comes into basketball not knowing the fundamentals or the rules. Everybody knows what the rules are, set and stone. And that's what we're talking about. That's what makes our organization, unique. We understand the rules set in stone. We know the target where we're trying to go to. We're reaching out to particular people who've been to that country, who've made investments, subscribing to the YouTube channel, getting their content, reaching out to them, having discussions, allowing them to give us shout outs. That's what we're doing because we know what we want. Nobody's here being ambiguous and being like, well, I don't know. I just want to be on the continent. No, everybody knows we're there for a reason. It's like what he was talking about with college. You're there to college to graduate. Yes, you want to party. Yes, you want to do all of this other stuff. But your primary goal is I want to graduate and I want to perform well in college so that I can get myself a good job, get into grad school, do research. That's your goal. That's why you're there for. And when you know why you're there for, you perform better. Ask anybody, any college student who is excelling in what they're doing. They'll tell you straight up, I'm here because I want to be a doctor in virology. I want to be a doctor in in pediatrics. I want to be a chemist. I want to be a chemical engineer. I want to be a, robotics engineer. They know why they're there for.
Yeah.
And that's what
Let me
drives deadlines.
let me
Because you're not
interject.
playing.
Let let me interject here, because I want to bring this home back to organizational infrastructure, right? Now, there is, again, if you're listening to this, you probably experienced being in a black organization. How many times have you heard or seen when an organization, a person come out, a young person or older person come out and they on fire for their people. They really want to see community change, and they come in here and they invest their time, they invest their money, they invest their ideas, and everything is still the same. Do you know how frustrating that is? Think of it like this. You just got drafted to the Sacramento Kings, and your idea of coming to the NBA, yeah, you're getting a whole lot of money. But let's talk about the competitive piece. Like usually people who compete wants to win. And you in there, you giving it your all, you working out, and then you looking around the organization and you could see from the top down, they really aren't trying to win a championship, and you know they're not trying to win a championship, and you figure it out. So now you laxing on your workouts. Now you're not the best player that you can be, right? You're not at peak performance because you're not being pushed to, because that's really not the end game. And that's exactly what happens to our brightest and our best in these organizations. They keep on wasting themselves in these organizations. And the cold part about it is that our hearts is so in the right place that we really think that we're doing something. And it's so hard to leave these organizations because we feel like we've invested. It's similar to being in a messed up marriage, right? You didn't invest in 15 years and you like, man, I can't leave. I got so much invested in there. We have this bank account, we have this house and everything. And you know it ain't going anywhere. And that's what these organizations have been doing to us for decades now. They're not leading us anywhere. Nothing is changing. Nothing is fundamentally changing, and nothing is going to change as long as we keep on doing the same thing.
Yeah, not only do you not you lax your workouts, but you demand a trade. You're like, listen, I can't play in this industry anymore. There's a reason
Yes,
why you
sir.
see players demanding
Mhm.
trades because it's like
Right.
I'm not getting any younger, and that's why we talk about deadlines. We're not getting any younger unless they come up with a new future invention. Hopefully, in the future, that can reverse ages. The time is ticking, and we can't get that back. So if you don't give me deadlines, you don't have expectations, none of that. Give me that. Hold on, give me a second. All right. But if you keep, we're not getting any younger. So, you know, time is ticking. So if you don't give me deadlines and in 10 or 15 years pass, I can't get that time back. And then now I can't perform as what I would like to because I've lost 15 years. And that's lost forever. So when you mean business, and you're not there to play. But I'll let you speak on that.
Go ahead. That was all I want to say on that piece. Peace, Rudy.
Yeah, the last thing I'll do is I'll go into alternatives. I'm so sorry, y'all. Um, I'm surprised there's not that many people in there. Usually we would have a bunch of people in there. Um, but maybe they'll go when they watch the archive. But continue on. The last thing I want to talk about is alternatives. We see people getting mad about athletes not doing this, and certain black people not doing this, and black celebrities doing this, and military doing this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, what's your alternative? What are you going to do about it? We can keep talking about it till we blue in the face. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do about it? Okay, it's like the situation with Obama in that African league, that African basketball league. He said he's a minority part-time owner in that basketball league. And there are black people who have a problem with it. My response is, so what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to create a basketball league that's owned by black folks? Are y'all going to get together and create an alternative? Because one of the first topics with this live that I was originally going to say was you can't boycott something with a nothing. You have to have an alternative. What's the alternative that you're doing? What is it? What's the alternative? You don't believe black people should serve in the military. All right, fine. What's your alternative? What are you providing them? Because if you're just providing your gums, that don't mean anything. I can't use those. That ain't making me money. That ain't making my life easy. I need something that's going to bring results that I can provide. So unless you're creating a black basketball league, or you got another force that they can join, you have no right to complain their decisions. You don't. That's why to me, when I see all these people talking about the situation, I'm like, so what are we going to do about it? Are we going to organize? Are we going to lead? Are we going to take command? Or are we just going to say, well, what we already know? It's like saying, we know the Warriors can shoot threes. So are you going to slow them down? Or are you just going to let them continue to shoot threes? We know that Giannis can get 50 in the paint. We know he can drive to the paint at will. So we just gonna let this man drive to the paint? We not gonna build a wall. We're not gonna try to see if we can get a bigger body on him. We're just gonna let this man go to the paint. The conscious community or these black organizations' answer would be to have an interstate to the lane. No contest jump shots, no zone, no none of that. It would just be an interstate to the lane. But you want to add anything, Emoja?
No, sir. No, sir. I think it's cut and dry. I think it's cut and dry. You know, man, I just wish it was. I just really wish that we can. I think on the last time I was here, I mentioned how there needs to be more cohesion within our organizations. You know, I think that would help out a lot, because the end game of having our own nation, I don't see how anybody who's have a so-called black organization who marching and preaching black power would not be down for that. Even if they don't want it themselves, even if they don't want it to go themselves, why would you not want the here's that word again, alternative? Why would you not want the option for your future family and your kids to be able to get away from this place? Like, I yeah, I understand it, but I think it's the most weakest mindset ever to continue to talk about how America is our home and how America is our place and how we built it and our ancestors. Like, that's just some of the most weakest stuff, especially when it's coming from somebody who understands the conditions that we are suffering in America. And I just don't understand. What I don't understand is how we so slow in terms of organizing and actually coming together. And what I know what happens is that we get stuck in these organizations and we feel like we feel some sort of ownership to them. We feel like this vicious loyalty to them that we can't branch off or even come together and work as one on one goal. There's nothing wrong with still having a main goal, that main end game of having our own shit, and still go ahead and do your education for the kids in the community. Still go ahead and do your stuff for the homeless people in the community. Still go ahead and do your stuff for the people dealing with the criminal justice system. That's cool. You can keep on fighting for stuff in America, but how about we build something that's away from this place? That's where I'm at. That's the only place that I'm at. Like, people still in the community that I'm in be asking, "Hey, do you still rock with them? Hey, do you still rock with them?" And I simply say, I do not. We have a difference of opinion, and honestly, the way I feel that there's millions, and I probably could say millions of black people working for American problems. There's enough of that. And you'll always hear some people say, well, we could do both, and I don't see both being done. I just see people still stuck on America, stuck on American politics, stuck on American problems, and there's enough of them trying to solve them, and guess what, they're not being solved. I'm still not talking bad about them though. Work your ass off working for American problems, for real. Somebody has to do it. However, when are we going to focus on getting away from America? That's what I'm talking about, and that's kind of all I want to talk about. But that's it, sir. I definitely believe in the teamwork.
Would you like to answer Baruti's two questions? He was
I didn't
talking
see
about.
it.
So I'm about to put up the first part. He says, aside from your ideas linked to reparations to Liberia, why haven't reparations thinkers assembled a top flight legal team to bring a formal suit to the Supreme Court? Glover Montague in Coates to appear as reparation advocates before a congressional committee seems juvenile and ineffective to get reparation even on a superficial level. But then once again, that would come back to our first 2 points: teamwork and strategy.
So Broody, I remember when I first see I'm I feel like I'm blessed with the ability to see through bullshit, even on a even on a higher level. So when I first heard about the when reparations got popular again, and it was about a couple years ago, I did a little research, right? I looked up the bill, and the first thing that I saw was that this is a bill that is being reintroduced that was first introduced in the 1980s. I just started laughing. Like literally the bill was first introduced over 30 years ago. The same exact reparations bill. And it gets better. The bill was to have Congress to agree to research reparations for African Americans. See, we have to look at the words and we have to really look at what people are doing. But mind you, when you hearing us talk about reparations, even when you hear about people who are on Capitol Hill talking about it, none of them mentions that point. It's not even to give black people reparations, it's to have so they will research what that will even look like. Are you kidding me? Now, if somebody come to me talking that, I'm gonna look at them like, don't play with me. I'm not your kid, but these people allow these people to pussyfoot them around. So I'm gonna tell you clearly, they don't do anything because they know it's not gonna work. But it's another one of those things where they put our people and have our people screaming in the streets for reparations, have our people really feeling hopeful when they know it's bullshit. And then our people will go to work, and then our same people who is fighting us, not knowing that they fighting a battle that is losing. And this is what I would say ultimately. Why don't we repair ourselves, man? We can repair ourselves if we are organized, but we're not. Even the people who scream in reparations, if them and themselves put their ends together and say, this is what we're going to do for our people to repair ourselves, then I guarantee you, Congress and the American government will say, okay, Negroes, what do y'all want? If we start taking ourselves away from them and really sticking to ourselves, they will come down begging us because they need us. And we know this. And we say this kind of shit, but we don't use it to our advantage. We know that they need us. This is a true story, y'all. I was reading the book to my daughter. Hang on, let me just say this and then I'll pass it. This is how much they need us, y'all. I was reading the book to my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, a bedtime book. She went and grabbed the book, and it's about the Super Soaker. I did not know a black man created the Super Soaker. I don't know if y'all remember the Super Soaker guns, but I'm of that age group where I was a kid when they came out, and I remember those. And what was the brother name? I can't remember. It was the first time I read the book too, and I was like, I didn't know this. But the brother also did something with. I don't know if y'all remember when the Galileo was going in the orbit. He was the engineer who worked on the design for the ship to go out there. And as I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, these people need us so much. Like this is a true story. This is like written for like a kid's book, but this is a real story. I wish I could remember the dude
Yeah, I
name, but yeah,
remember. Yeah, I
but
remember
hold on,
hearing
hold on.
about him inventing the super soaker.
Hold on. Now he legit because he's a master inventor. He's always been this way since he was a kid. He came with the idea for the super soaker when he was a kid. Like he didn't develop it until he was older. But but they use him. They use his brilliance to help the mission for the Galileo to go into space a success. This is a fact. And what I thought was, look at this, man. They always use our genius to benefit them. And the reason why I'm mad but can't be mad is something similar to what you said, Bari, is that we don't give another alternative. No one, we don't have the vision. We could talk about white folks all we want. Yes, we're better than them physically. Yes, we're better than them mentally. However, what they do have is vision. They have vision and collectivity, and they will use any means to see their vision comes to fruition. Whereas we are naturally geniuses and we will not come together and use it for ourselves. We will prostitute it out to the highest bidder. We will go because we have the genius, and we're not going to say, I have this genius, so I'm just going to sit on it because there's no African opportunity and we won't make it ourselves. We'll say, nope, well, I guess I'll go to NASA. NASA needs this, and I have the idea. Why wouldn't we? What I'm saying is that we need to sit down and organize our damn selves and repair ourselves because we do have the money. It's not for a lack of money. It's just for from a lack of people giving a damn. And that's the reality of it. We'll talk all we want, but at the end of the day, as long as we got a 401k, a few $1,000s a month, we are okay. And that's the truth. That's the cold truth. We ain't gotta sit up there and over philosophize, over intellectualize this at all. The truth is that we are very comfortable being beat down as long as we can be comfortably being beaten down. And that's the truth. I passed the rock.
Yeah, yeah, and to add your point about that, we complain that, oh, well, they're giving their talent away. We shouldn't be giving our talent away. And it's like, well, in order to keep talent, you have to have opportunities. You have to provide those opportunities. If you're yelling at me for, going to, let's say, a white-owned corporation, but I don't have a black corporation that's around for me to assist, because one of the things that people got to understand is it's not just, oh, we need to create businesses. That's one of the things you'll hear over and over again. But once again, not understanding strategy and assessing the situation. In order to create those businesses, you got to have people with all the skills. If I'm a civil engineer, like I am, I can't just say, well, I'm going to start a construction business. I gotta have plumbers. I gotta have, welders. I gotta have fabricators. I gotta have surveyors. I gotta have erection engineers, construction engineers. I have to have construction workers. I have to have electric. I have to have all of this in the company. Human resource management. I have to have all of this stuff in the company before I can even get it off the ground. I got to make sure everybody's licensed, make sure they got access to the licensed software, make sure that we have a good inspection, making sure that the work that we're doing is being inspected to the best of the degree, make sure everybody is certified, make sure you got a a bachelor's, sometimes even a master's or a PhD, making sure you got access to the newest technology. This stuff all goes into it, and that's why some of these, our brightest black people leaders, because we're not putting the infrastructure in for them. Yes, we say, well, why can't the best and brightest, create it for themselves? We need support and we need numbers. I can't create a materials science department if I don't have, a dean, teachers, people who can teach these courses. I'm handicapped. One person is not enough. How many times do we see in the NBA? One person will not win you a championship. In order for Kobe to win his championships, he needed Shaq and he needed Pau Gasol. In order for LeBron to win his championships, he needed D Wade, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis. Tim Duncan needed Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. Michael Jordan needed Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Dennis Rodman. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar needed. I can keep going on and on and on. You need other people. Maybe two, just one person is not going to be enough. It's not. Oh, let me answer Barudi's question. This is for Umoja, so you have to answer this. Umoja, he says, Why are your thoughts on do for self and culture nationalism headed by black leaders as a strategy to create leverage? On doing heated by black leaders as a strategy to create leverage from Mzungu as in, okay, Negroes, what do y'all want? That's for you, emoji to answer.
Hang on. I gotta read it myself. I didn't have my phone on me. Let me read it real quick. I think I'm understanding why are your thoughts on doing for self and cultural nationalism heated by leaders, by black leaders as a strategy to create leverage. I think I'm understanding what you're saying.
I
If
think
I
you meant to say not heated by black leaders. I think not heated. If you put not heated by black leaders as a strategy to create
well,
leverage from Mzungu, as in, okay, Negroes, what do y'all want? I think it makes more sense.
right, I'm just trying because if I don't answer it correctly, yeah, can you just like put something in between there, Baruti, so I can answer it accurately, if you can, please, sir? Because I think I'm
Yeah, I
seeing
was
what
right.
you.
Yeah, I was right. It was not heated. Yeah, I was right.
Okay, why are your thoughts about doing for self and culture narcissism not heated? Because there's no the simple answer is that because there's nothing in it for them then, right? Like it's like it's like hospital it's like hospitals. Like you're supposed to go to hospitals, or no, let's make it simpler. It's like jails. You're supposed to go to jail to get a punishment, and then you're reformed, hopefully to never come back. But that's not how the jails are set up, right? Jails are set up for recidivism, and that's similar to how the black struggle is. It's set up for recidivism. We want you to keep on standing in the struggle, and now it's big business. It's big business, and it's huge for politics, but most importantly, it's big business. The Jesse Jacksons, the Reverend Al Sharptons, the Don Lemons, the Mark Lamont Hills, the what's the dude who's super white path and he be doing a lot of writing. Sean King, I think his name is something like that. Like all of this is money for these people. And then we can go further into the organizations, the Tariq Rashid, the Umar Johnsons. All these people are really making a lot of money off of black struggle. So why would I want this to stop? Why would I want it? It'd be, let's bring it back to sports. It'd be similar to where it's like, okay, we're gonna play one season of NBA, and then whoever win a champion, you're the champion. Like the NBA, right? Like that'd be silly. No, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna go again next year, and all the fans are gonna get excited. They're gonna be rooting for their team, and only one team is gonna win. And that's what the world is. It's a big old game, right? It's a big old game with different teams, and the season just keeps on going and going and going. And in America, the black struggle is a huge game. Like, do you know how big the black struggle is in terms of business? Think about all the t-shirts
The
you see.
checks. Oh my God, they be
think about
cashing in.
think
There be
think
sales.
think about all the t-shirts you see, all the slogans you see. One day I seen something somebody had posted, and they had posted like black hair products, and like literally like 80% of it was owned by non-blacks, right? Like black people and black struggle is a huge business in America. So why would you want that to stop? Right?
You,
Then I wouldn't have anything to lead. I wouldn't be this big old boss, master teacher, and everything else, right? Because I would actually have my own shit. They wouldn't need me to be on top of the hill. So yeah, it's just long story short, people are just full of it. People are just full of it, man. They really don't want it because I go by people's. That's something that I've been saying a lot lately is that I don't care. I go by. I will make a statement and then people will immediately feel defensive and want to be offended. And then I say, I look at the behavior though. That's why when I say we don't want it, it's not because of a
yeah,
feeling. Look at the behavior. Look at what we're doing. How can you say that we want something when we can do it and we're not? Shut up. Like,
yeah,
don't I'm not here for the foolishness like that. That's like me saying I love my woman. I love her. Every night I'm out cheating on her. And then when I come home and she say something to me, I want to be abusive. How am I gonna say that I love you and I want to see us have a healthy relationship when that's what I'm doing? Cut the crap. Just knock
yeah,
it off.
yeah.
We don't want it.
Yeah. I'm about to say you see my screen right? What I put on the screen right? Look what they said. Diversity forum. Despite 2020's upheaval, racial reckoning didn't happen. Number
Exactly.
10,000,
Exactly.
number 10,000 times do we have to keep telling you we're right? It's like, I, how many times we got to keep telling y'all? Like we keep every time we're being proven right, and folks still want to just keep trying again, and we keep proving to y'all that it isn't happening. Now, I'm not gonna say it's all doom and gloom because there are some people that do listen to us and are hearing it, but it's just, man, like we keep telling
It's
you, there ain't no racial
it's
reckoning happening.
it's not all doom and gloom. Pardon me for cutting you off, but as I get older, my thoughts just leave me. It's not all doom and gloom, but I am so concerned because we move as if we're already in good position. We
Facts.
we it's like we can't afford to not be extremely urgent. Like I don't understand. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? We just move
what
like
comes
all
back to deadline.
lackadaisical, like we cool. Exactly. Like man, we straight. It's like no sir, no ma'am. We are so far behind, and then we want to when it's time to do something, we want to compare ourselves to other races when it comes to negative, right? We'll say like, well, they didn't go through slavery and they didn't go through this, and I'm like, that's exactly why. That's even more reason why we should
Well,
be
I
more
find it.
vicious
I
about
find
our
it.
movements.
I find that even frustrating because, okay, they'll say, well, they didn't go through slavery. Okay, but they went through colonialism. Well, see, they didn't go through it as long as they went through it with 80 to 100 years. India was colonized in the early 1800s. So, what was maybe in America they didn't go through it, but throughout the world they did go through it. So, what's your excuse? Like, we forget about this, right? We forget that Southeast Asia was bombed during the Vietnam
Yeah,
War, and
a nuclear bomb.
like Japan was nuked, and Korea had the
Chinese
Korean War. China
Chinese
was the
internment
poorest
camps.
country. It was
Chinese
Japanese
internment
intern. It
camps
was,
here.
yeah,
No,
Japanese. Yeah, it was Japanese internment camps, not Chinese.
what was it though? The Chinese railroad
Chinese
workers.
yeah, railroad
Yeah,
workers. You had the Chinese
they had
Exclusion
something.
Act.
Right,
Yeah, they
right.
had their own lynchings themselves, and yet they're
Everybody
still.
went through something. Everybody
Yep.
went through. Maybe not as long and maybe not as hard. But again, when I hear that, that's even more reason for us to be so vicious in mashing for ourselves. Not to sit up there and be like, no, we just gonna keep on struggling because ours was worse. Like, no, we should be more vicious. We
Yeah,
should be
like
more
somebody
organized.
said, it's like we take pride in the oppression Olympics. We're acting like we're getting a gold medal for the fact that we've been the most oppressed. Like there's no medals for the oppression Olympics. Like there's just there's no gold medal for that. And to continue further on to your point, not only did they have nuclear bomb dropped on Japan, but you had the Korean War, you had the war in Vietnam, you had it in Cambodia and Laos. Let's not forget this. In 1980, every single country in Africa was richer than China. Today, every country in Africa, with the exception of maybe Equatorial Guinea, is poorer than China. China was literally in the 1980s one of the poorest countries on earth. India was one of the most least developed countries on planet Earth. Like Africa, we act like Asia was not in the same situation we was in the 1960s. Asia was worse in the 1950s and 60s. When you look at it per capita, Africa was richer than Asia. And today Asia has sped away. So, what's the excuse? What is the excuse? Like, we need
There
to
is no
know.
excuse. There is no excuse. All of that is on us. All that is on us and on Africa. Like straight up, it's just way past time to stop pointing fingers. It's like I had a teacher when I was in school, when I was in my first couple years of college. She said when you are a child, you're a victim. When you're an adult, you're a volunteer. And it was like an addictions class or something like that, and she was talking about how, like, yeah, when you're a child you can't help who you born into, the families you born into and everything else, but when you're an adult, and you still letting that stuff run your life and you making your own choices, you volunteering for this shit. And that's black people, man. We can't help that we black, right? That's how the creator made us as black. And we could cry about everything else, but we have choices. We have a lot of choice today. You can get a passport. You can work and get equal pay, right? You don't just walk down the street and somebody snatching you up and lynching you. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a lot of opportunities, and what we're choosing to do with them is not nationhood. When you're a child, you're a victim. When you're an adult, you're a volunteer.
That's really what what you said. It's the when you're an adult, you have to make adult decisions. That's part of maturity. He's like, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I did childish things. When I was an adult, I put all those childish things aside. And that's exactly when you're grown, you put the childishness away because you're not a child. And even me, as I come into graduate from college, I'm an adult now. So now I have to know what I'm going to do with my life. I have to know what do I want. And that's what I've been sitting down and thinking. What do I want to do? And how am I
And
going to get there?
and here's the thing, Barry. Here's the thing, right? Speaking about your self being a young man about to come into the world, graduate college, and everything else, right? Clearly, you're sharp. Clearly, you're intelligent. Clearly, you have common sense. Now, if you was to go out, graduate school, get you a job, start drinking alcohol like crazy, turn into an alcoholic and mess up your life, and then sit up there and say something like, "Well, when I was, my parents were," or my no, nigga, stop. You knew you was just fine, and when you got out on your own, you wanted to act a damn fool. Let's not try to go back and bring up some sob story now. You know what I mean? Like straight up. So that's a good example. You are a great example because clearly you headed on the right track. If you mess up your life from here on out, that's you, brother.
Yeah, exactly. And to continue on about that, that's why, like me, even when I have friends who maybe, you know, drink, I don't do that. That's not my thing. Same thing with, thing. That's just me. But I know my boundaries and know what I want because I know where I want to get to. I know why I'm there. Once again, deadlines, strategies. What are you there for? Because everything else is a distraction. That's a distraction. That's stuff that I do after I've done everything. So I'll go hang out with friends and do all that stuff after we get the business done. Until then, the business counts first and foremost. That's what matters.
You don't
Like,
drink?
mm-mm, that's me. That's me. I don't do it.
I don't drink either.
I like to be in control of my body and I like to be able to think clearly. That's me. I don't feel comfortable not being able to, think or even what they say get tipsy. I don't feel comfortable with that. That's not me.
Come
But
on,
then
man.
once again, we know boundaries. You know why you're there and you know what works for you. You have to
Under
know you.
Underrated, like what? He don't drink? I need a drink.
Right. Just have a glass, man. Come on, man. You know, in those movies, you got that one person that try to get you to
he
do
said I
something
feel
you
he
don't
said I
do.
feel comfortable with the Jack and a Coke. But underrated, did you catch what we were talking about earlier about teamwork, strategies, deadlines, and alternatives? Did you catch any of that? Or
Um, I just came from the store, but I heard that you guys were like talking about China, how in the 80s and previous times they weren't, who they are now. And just the fact that, they didn't make really any excuses. They just did what they had to do, basically, and we're still in the same position. So I kind of got a grasp of, I guess, what was being talked about.
yeah, yeah, and I just broke down the four important points, and we were talking about why teamwork is important. Making sure we're all in a cohesive unit,
Mhm.
strategies, making sure you're coming up with approaches, understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, analyzing everything. deadlines, having a clear date that's set in stone, not having a wishy-washy, we can do it whenever, because time is moving forward. We're not getting any younger, so we need to get down to business. And alternatives, you can get mad at a company for not treating you right, but if you don't have an alternative, what are you going to do about it?
Do about it.
You can't boycott something with a nothing. So
Mm-hmm.
I need bread. So I'm gonna boycott this bread company, because I don't like how he's treating me. Well, where are you gonna get the bread from? Well, I just won't have it. There are some things where you just can't not have. Like, I need electricity. Yeah, like come on.
Yeah, I mean, all four of those points are definitely valid, and I think one of my favorite ones is just strategy, because it seems like a lot of people don't understand strategy or may not comprehend it right. Because going back to what you're saying, they're just thinking like something's going to happen out of thin air, or from Hollop's clip, by osmosis, when really you have to like go to the drawing board, come up with plans, trial and error, critically think, you know, and it's like we can understand teamwork, deadlines, and such, but I think strategy is what a lot of our people just don't seem to get a grasp of, because of they don't tend to think that way, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and we can go further in depth with that. With the strategies. Like I was bringing up earlier, it's like when it comes to strategies, we know the Warriors can shoot threes. Congratulations. Are you going to stop them from shooting threes? Are we going to issue a 3-2 zone, a 2-3 zone? Are we going to do man to man? Are we going to go through these screens? Or are we just going to let them keep shooting threes and let them make it? Because that's what we don't get about strategies. We think, okay, the Warriors are a good 3-point shooting team, so we're just going to keep letting them shoot threes. Not, let's stop them from shooting threes, maybe.
Right, right. And then let's say with the alternative piece, right? With the same analogy, let's say we want to stop the Warriors from shooting threes. So then what will we accept if they're not going to, if we're trying to make them not shoot threes? Will we accept two pointers? Would we accept anybody that's not Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry to shoot threes? Because based on a scouting report, they're not as good. Like it, when you
Exactly.
strategize, it's a lot, but it
But
can
see,
be done though.
right, but see, that's what we're talking about. What we understand, with these 4 points is you have to strategize, but you have to know your strengths, your
Right.
weaknesses. You have to know your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. You have to know what your opponent is good at, what your opponent is bad. You have to know your opponent's points per game, their field goal percentage. We have to know all of this stuff before we even get on the court.
Hmm.
We can't just show up on the court and then think we're gonna win. We have to practice in the gym, making sure that's also part of strategy, making sure you're physically ready, mentally ready,
Mm,
make sure you have good chemistry. We're coming
mm,
back to teamwork, making sure you know your roles.
mm,
Okay. If I am not a good 3-point shooter, my role is not to shoot threes.
mhm,
If I'm good on defense, my role is to be a defensive player and give you a little bit of contribution on the offensive end. But my job is to get defensive rebounds, get deflections, make them miss their shots, turnovers, blocks. That's my role and my job. And when you
right.
don't do your role, and you leave it to everybody else, then everything collapses, because one teammate's going to say, you're not doing your job, which is to stop the defender. And therefore, now I got to put my energy on the defensive end when I got to put most of my energy on the offensive end, because I'm a scorer. I'm not the best defender, but I'm a good scorer. This all comes into strategy.
It's funny how we keep on coming back to to sports analogies, but but one of the issues with this though is similar to NBA. Let's say the NBA league, right?
Mhm.
In terms of all of our stars are on different teams, right? We need a dream team. We need an Olympic team. We need to take all the best players from off all the teams and have them working on the same goal, but still playing for the same their own team. And right, Jordan still play for the Bulls, Bird still play for the Celtics, Brown still play for the Lakers, whatever. Right. However, since we're trying to go against the world, literally, we need all them best minds. And in this term, it's the best minds, the people with the resources, the people with the ideas, the people with the expertise to come together and build a dream team. But instead of that, we're staying on our separate teams playing against each other. All these different black organizations, whether they're religious, spiritual, political, all saying that we want the same thing, yet we still all play against each other. We all still playing against each other like there's just one goal, and that's to what? Make America great for us.
Yeah, I
I hope that
mean,
makes sense to y'all. What I
Yeah, it
just
does.
said.
It makes
Like
perfect
that's what
sense.
what we're doing instead of saying, "Hey, y'all, all these
No,
best players, we need to
I
build a
can
better
simplify.
team."
I can actually I actually to further simplify for those who may not, but I would like to further simplify. It's like we compete with each other um when we're just in our own leagues, in our own nation. But when we're competing against the world, against other countries, that requires getting your best. It's easy to talk about, you know, within your group, you're doing well within black people. Great. Let's compare you to white people. Let's compare you to Asians. Let's see where you rank amongst them, the best of their community. Let's see how you rank amongst them. And then we'll see what you're really about.
mhm. I mean, you got other countries, focusing on trying to go out of space. Hell, trying to own a galaxy. When black,
Right, right.
when we focusing on, trying to make the black woman submit. It's like what?
Word up, though.
Yeah, no, and let me even add to that. Other countries are building hypersonic missiles, missile silos, nuclear weapons, nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers, frigates, all of these advanced weaponry, cybersecurity, all of this stuff, and we're talking about the black man or black woman is God. That's what we talking about. Other people are caring about actual results,
Exactly.
actual actual things you can touch, and we're talking about stuff that you can't touch. If I can't touch it, I don't want to see I don't want to see it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care. Okay, show me your results. You say you can build, show us what you got. Let me see your skyscrapers. Let me see your roads. Let me see your autobahn. Let me see your bridges. Let me see all of that. I don't want to hear this black man, black woman is God. I don't care about that. Show me what you got. Because, like we said with deadlines, time is up. Show me what you got.
Well, no, cool. Tell me the black man and black woman is God. How about do some godlike shit though? like like
Nobody wants to do that though.
like since
Some
we
Everybody
kings and
since we gods
queens.
and we built the pyramids and we kings and queens.
show it. Show it.
Mhm.
Show
Exactly.
it.
Show it. When?
Now
Like I said, oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead on the rate mine. Mine was very brief.
I wanted
It
to
was
I wanted to ask you guys about the teamwork piece, because how like when how like when you work at a job and they're like saying, we want somebody team oriented, and so you work in there, and then their version of team oriented or being teamwork is just like, picking up the slack from somebody else that ain't doing shit. And it's just like, oh, come on, just do it for the team, do it for the company. And I'm just like, I don't think that's being team oriented. Like I think that's just
That's being
somebody
greedy.
being lazy or whatever, you know? So like I guess for the panel, like did y'all break down exactly what it was, like how teamwork should be played out?
Yeah, I broke it down. So what I said earlier was teamwork is making sure that everybody knows their role, making sure there's good chemistry, making sure that people know why they're there for, making sure you know who does what, make sure that people are motivated, make sure that you know you have all the parts that you need so that nobody feels like they have to do any other particular role, making sure that you have that energy and effort. That's what encompasses teamwork. You know,
Mm,
teamwork is not just we're all together and just let's do work. It's you're the cook. I expect you to cook. I expect you to provide these meals. You're the cashier. I expect you to have good social skills. I expect you to cooperate with the customers. Drive through, same thing. Manager, I expect you to oversee everything. And people understanding their roles, why they're there, and it leads to good chemistry. You know, it feels good to know you got people who are energetic, people who, they know why they're there, and people who do their part. And we were talking about it here in the BIO. Everybody does their part. My name is my name. Holla, me, underrated mine, Umoja, Lucy. Everybody does their part. Nobody's here doing, you know, all of the work and everybody standing by. We're all contributing. And that, produces chemistry.
facts. Facts. And I'm glad you brought up. Oh wait, matter of fact, Baruti has sent us a question. He said, since ADOS, FBA, and BTP claim to be reparationists, why don't they just outline the rep content and process and then make it happen, as opposed to spending many hours justifying reparations?
It
Any
comes
thoughts?
back to our 2 points. Ain't nobody got no strategy, ain't no deadlines.
I think if they made the deadlines, they might push it back, postpone it.
Like I said, nobody wants to have set like smart goals. Nobody wants to have that. Everybody wants to just, think things are just gonna land on their lap, and that's just not how things work.
Yeah, and it really all boils down to who wants it. Like that's another thing that I'm glad you brought up with the teamwork is having like-minded people. And I've stressed this out through underrated thought. Obviously, it's been stressed out in the BAIO. Like you can't just team up with anybody. You know, you want to team up with somebody that wants to win, that has the same, umph or just that attitude, and really just wants to make things manifest and whatnot. Like if I'm playing pickup basketball and I know Joey, like Joey, he don't do shit. I don't want him on my team because we're gonna lose or we're gonna have a difficult time winning. I'd rather pick, oh shit, the disciples, Peter, John, Paul.
Yeah, like I said, with team, knowing your roles. You have your presidents, your vice president, your CEOs, your secretaries, your treasurers. You have all of that. It's the same thing, in sports. You have your center, your power forward, your small. You know your role. You know you're a spot up shooter. You know you're the point guard. You know you post up, and you do what you're supposed to do. That's what leads to things being smooth. If you are a spot up shooter, I expect you to come off of screens. I expect for you to stand in the corner and move around. I don't expect you to have the ball and drive into the paint and doing, crossovers like you Kyrie Irving and you Steph Curry, like you can knock ankles loose. Like that's not who you are. You have to know who you are in your roles.
Right. And I think too, um, when things are being done in teams, it helps you go far. I mean, what's that quote? You know, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah,
And
that African proverb. Yep.
yeah, yeah. Oh wow, really? That was an African prophet?
Yeah, that's an African proverb.
Oh shit! I didn't even know. Okay, all right. Damn, I'm late. All right, aye babo. But yeah, like doing stuff in teams. The way that I see it, it takes a load off of being this so-called jack of all trades, and then at the same time you are doing something that's bigger than yourself, you know, where it means a lot more, and it has different components, you know, different pieces that can that can benefit the whole. Like I was watching Game of Thrones, and I'm on like the last two episodes, but I just found it amazing how like everybody from Winterfell, from King's Island, River Run, all them folks, you know, some of them wanted to be the queen or the king of the seven kingdoms, but then they had the White Walkers or the aliens basically trying to wipe out humanity. So then everybody was like, you know what, fuck that shit. We got different ideologies, but we got to take out these White Walkers. Otherwise, we're going to be extinct. And everybody was on board except for uh, Queen Survey or whatever, her bitch ass. But it was just.
She was just crazy for nothing. Just crazy for nothing.
And look, she saw the White Walker too. She like, oh damn, this shit real. But she knew that. She was like, nah, I'm gonna protect my own. Like, I just want to be queen. Fuck all y'all. But going back to what I'm saying, you know, just the fact that they teamed up together and was like, okay, this is what we have to do in order to beat the White Walkers. We know that they can kill certain people. Well, they can kill everybody and bring them back to life and on their side. So how are we going to attack them that way? And then, you know, just all
Yo,
to save humanity.
you can't tell me that white people are not the White Walkers.
Oh
What do
man.
they do? What do they do? They first of all they go on this campaign about how great America is, get all these different cultures to come to America and buy into Western society and ideologies. And
Yep.
everybody whole goal here in America, whether we admit it or not, is to be as much like white people as we can. Yes, we
Yep.
might still keep our talk, we might still keep our slang, we we
Assimilate into whiteness.
we 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 can't help but keep our swag. Excuse me. However, we still want them cars. We still want to dress like them. Ultimately,
Assimilate
we
into
think the
whiteness.
ultimate success is dressing like a business white man. Let's be real,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
We might put our suits on a little skinnier now, you know what I'm saying? But we still going off of we still assimilating to they looks and everything else. And then we'll get proud though when everybody wearing fades now, everybody wearing fades like the black man now and all this other stuff. When really we just strive to be like them instead of working together. Like you said, we have enough. What you do when you work together though, what's most important is that you win. You win. You don't keep on taking L's. You actually come together and see something get done, and you win.
Exactly. And you know what? I was talking to Hollett one time, and he had gave me a quote well, not a quote, but it was really like a statement from Dr. Amos Wilson, and he was just basically talking about education. And this is how nationhood to me, like I understand, but then when he sent me this quote, like this even hit a lot more deep. So he said, ultimately, he said, as long as we are not educated to defend ourselves against these people, then we are being incorrectly educated. Nothing else matters. Ultimately, then, intelligence must be defined in terms of the degree in which it solves your problems. So then I'm like, shit, not only the stuff that we're learning isn't our history, but their history, but we're like learning this stuff to solve this country's problems. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this it all is, it's just like it all makes sense because it comes back around to we're not learning about ourselves, we're learning how to fit in their narrative and pretty much keep their race going instead of our own. But yeah, that statement hit me deep. Fly guy, yeah, oh, thanks Jabari. Fly guy had brought up. He said, Jabari, do you think certain African leaders are the reason the continent is not where it should be? I hear people blame African leaders a lot. Is that valid or a cop out? Ooh.
It's a mixture. I would say African leaders are significantly to blame because you are the president, so therefore we put you there to do work. We expect you to contribute to job growth, job opportunities. Make sure that people have access to healthcare. Make sure that we have education, that we can live a good life. And making sure that you're doing what's in our best interest. Make sure you're not destabilizing the country. Make sure that you're not funding insurgent groups, or, you're so corrupt that you lead to a breakdown in society. So I definitely think, you know, African leaders are significantly to blame. However, I will say some of it is a reflection on us because those leaders don't get into power just randomly. It's not like they just walk into the presidency and get it. Certain African leaders were elected by their people, and we have to hold ourselves accountable as well because the leadership should reflect what's going on the ground. There should be grassroots movements happening to where that African leader is held liable to the grassroots movement. Oftentimes, we have African leaders who they're not. They were talking about in Haiti, where you had Moise who was backed by the U.S., but the Haitians didn't back him. So then the question is, well, what leader did the Haitians want to run that could have represented him? Because you need people to run to represent you. We can have as many organizations as we want, but we have to have people who are going to go and represent the interest of those organizations. And so that's why I say it's twofold. On one hand, African leaders not doing their job and their role in providing for the economy, job security, domestic security, foreign policy, but at the same time, it's African people's job to make sure that the leaders that are running represent us, making sure that the people who we want to see in office are the people that we chose, that we
Hmm.
encouraged to run, and just weren't some party officials.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how when um when it comes to leaders, the people kind of just it's like with God, right? Oh, God's going to figure it out. He's the supreme being. He's the creator of all things. He's the first and last, the beginning and end. He's going to make a way. And then we just go on about our day and just, do whatever. I mean, I see that as the same with leaders too. Like it's like people think like, okay, now that we elected this person, we don't have to worry about anything else. We should go back to our normal lives, smoke hookah and do that, whoop de whoop de woo. When it's like still you have a responsibility as the people to hold that leader accountable, and then at the same time like just working together. Like I don't think people understand that, okay, we got this person in office or whatever, our job is done. Like no, that it's still continuing actually. But
I agree with both of y'all saying with y'all assessment. I think that in terms of the people, I think what really harms the people as a whole is this lackadaisical slash humanitarian spirit that we have
mm,
naturally. We
mm,
trust everybody. We just want to be peaceful and really just let things go as they please because in our most natural state, that's who we were.
word.
Well, imagine we was in a place where we had everything. We had all the meat to eat. We had all the plants and fruits and vegetables. We didn't have to do anything really.
Mm,
Really though, we was literally in like the land of Eden, the land of milk and honey, right? So
mm,
then all these wicked people come and they trick us because of our humanitarian spirits, because we just want to love everybody. We really peaceful. Like mind you, we got warriors too, but really as a whole, the majority is peaceful humanitarian people. We believe in life and the universe, and like every animal and plant is important. So now the leaders come, and these leaders they get hustled by the leaders of the other nations, and then what they look at is like, okay, we have to be like them. So they, instead of looking out for the interests of their people, they looking out so they could be equal with these people. So they listen to them and they get hustled by them. And
mm,
then they start learning about what corruption is. And they're like, wait a minute, I can get wealthy. These people are giving me cars and all this money and everything else when they don't even know how to handle this stuff. So it's definitely twofold. And now you seeing it more and more because the democratic system of the West is not even fit for Africans. If we want to be really real, right?
word.
But we're trying to just like here in America, we're circles trying to be put into square pegs, trying to be put into square pegs, and it's not working, right? Like who's to say that quote unquote democracy, how the Western world is, even works, right? Like who said so? Yeah, it's definitely two and threefold.
Fly Guy also asked me, what do you think about the notion of African countries dissolving their borders and becoming one big country? No. I don't mind having the Pan African spirit or being Pan African, but just the African Continental Free Trade and African Union passports would solve all of that. In order for all countries to be one big country, you have to breed stability. Like every African country would have to be stable. Every African country would need to reach a certain income level. Industrialization would need to happen. All the infrastructure would need to be in place. You would have to make sure that the universities have the same system, because we can't have 20 different university systems. All these African leaders would have to come together and say, by this time, everybody on the continent needs to know about it. The political system needs to be the same. We can't have in one section monarchies, then the next day we have dictatorships, and then a democracy. No, it would have to be one, you know, unified government. Then you would need military, and and you you would need a capital. Who gets the capital now? Who's the administration capital? Because everybody's going to be competing to have the capital. Egypt might want it, and that's another thing that Black people say. Let's dissolve the borders. Okay, so what about North Africans? Because on one hand, you will say um, Africa needs to unite, but then when I bring up North Africa, everybody just goes silent. So do you not consider North Africans Africans? You know, that's the thing. He says you can't build anything without a common culture. Yeah, without common core principles and values, it can't work, because You say dissolve the borders, but Somalia's an Islamic country, Egypt's an Islamic country, Mauritania, Sudan, Libya, Tunisia, um, Morocco, Algeria. What are you gonna do with them? Are we not gonna include them? Are we
Hey,
not? Because
you, people don't want to talk about North Africa at all. It's really interesting, isn't it? Like
yeah,
it
like I
doesn't
said, they
exist.
don't want to talk about North. They talk about Africa should unite, but then will completely exclude North Africa, like North Africa doesn't exist. So what y'all gonna do with them?
I do think it'd be wise like to break it up and not necessarily break it up, but just to have a focus being on the regions like west, east, central, south.
Right.
I think that'll bring more quote unquote unity as opposed to just being each country out for themselves because what that does, and we talked about this, I think it was last year, we had a specific discussion or I heard it somewhere, but they was talking about how little small countries like Togo, you you know, just get brutalized because they're so small. How can they defend themselves, right? Like so they just get conquered easily and no help because everybody is like, well, each country for themselves. Good luck. And we just and we just basically just rape whoever wants to comes in and either hustle us or they
I
just
don't.
dominate us because we
I
don't
think
help
I
each
would go
other.
even further. I think the biggest issue with that is that it's not the fact that the small countries can't defend themselves. It's the fact that regional powers don't assert their authority and be the people in charge.
Exactly.
So why is Nigeria not dictating what's going on in West Africa? Why is
Exactly.
Nigeria not putting the pressure on Cameroon to say knock it off with your francophone and anglophone? Why
Exactly.
is Nigeria not going into Niger and Chad and saying knock it off? It's
Let's go a little further. Why isn't the African Union doing anything? Right
exactly.
now they're trying to let Israel into the African Union. Why?
Exactly.
Why? I seen that, man. I'm talking about talk about
Yeah, I was
frustration.
angry.
Like
I
what are
was
you
angry
doing?
too. I was
What are
angry
you
too.
doing?
Like Ghana was trying to make Israel an observer state, and people were, many Black Americans were rightly furious because you let Israel be an observer state, but Haiti can't enter the African Union, or the Dominican Republic, or Jamaica, or Cuba.
Which makes no sense. Which makes no sense. And this is why remember what I said earlier. I look at what people do. You can
Mm.
tell me about the year return. You could tell me about we need the diaspora to come and build these Wakanda and we're a unified nation. No, but what you're doing is not letting Jamaica in the union, not letting Dominican Republic or Haiti in the union. But then when Israel come, you want to sit up there and get on your knees. What is going on? What is going on?
And like Fly Guy said, I have no problem with Africa having multiple countries. We can unify as a people without giving up our different nation states. Exactly. Because like I said before, okay, Africa can unite, but you say y'all don't see North Africans as Africans. So you think North Africans are going to say to themselves, yeah, we're gonna unite with these people, and they don't see us as Africans. Now, mind you, there are some North Africans that don't see themselves as Africans, mind you, they see themselves as Arab, but there are a significant amount of North Africans who see themselves as Africans and don't see themselves as Arabs. They may look like they're Arabs, but they don't identify themselves as being Arabs. They identify themselves as being Africans. And there was one North African that even said, people need to stop pretending North Africa is not Africa. And he said, North Africans are Africans, you know, because there were Algerians who were repping the Senegalese team or in FIFA when stuff was going on. You know, we pretend as if North Africa was not part of the Pan Africanist group because we forget about this. Egypt was one of the supporters of the Casablanca group, led by who? Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré. It was Egypt, Nasser. So we have to address these issues. What are you gonna do with Madagascar? Because Madagascar is a combination of being black and black and Asian. Like Malagasy people, you can kind of see their facial features a little bit more different than, let's say, Bantu speaking African. Then we got to factor in Mauritius and Seychelles. Mauritius is Hindu, is a combination of being black and Indian. So these are stuff that we have to reconcile with. these multiple identities. Guyana is a black country, but it's a combination of being black, black and Indian, and Indian. Same thing with Trinidad and Tobago. Black, black and Indian, and Indian. So we have to address that. And if we're not willing to address it, then we're not serious.
Facts. I actually got to bounce, guys.
Yeah,
But
I'm actually about to end this live anyway. Um, make
Good
sure
talking to you, fellas.
make sure you
likewise, likewise.
Yes, indeed, as usual. I wish more people would have came in. I don't know why this Sunday, but like we only got like maximum 10 people. Maybe they'll watch it later, but make sure you tune into the lounge for BIL members only tonight. Make sure you catch the BIL news, the Liberian Presidential Series. We will continue to do more of that and underrated thought as well. Any last things you guys want to say?
Uh, I will like.
Organize or die.
Oh, damn.
Organize or die. It's that simple. It's that serious. I don't know how we don't take it serious like that. He's so that crazy underrated. Damn.
Get organized or die trying. That's a movie right there. Um. Oh man, Fly Guy had a question. He said,
No,
"You guys."
I'll address his point, but I'll let you say your last piece, and then I'll address his point.
Oh, yeah. The lounge tonight, open discussion. I didn't have a topic unless Jabari, you got a topic or anybody else. So, yep. If you need help joining that, we have videos that talk about the lounge. Obviously, got registered to the website, and yeah, teamwork make the dream work.
Yeah, indeed. So the countries that I would say would be South Africa, Nigeria, and Egypt to do a space program. Rwanda did send a satellite into space. Angola is doing some other stuff. So there are countries we need more. We need more investment into that. African nation need to put more. We need more astro engineers, aeronautical engineers. We need more astrophysicists. We need more, people who love astronomy, not astrology, they're different. Um, to make that a reality. I hope we can get somebody to Mars, to Titan, to Enceladus, to Europa, to Rhea, one of Neptune's moons, Alpha Centauri, uh, the star system, which is 4 light years away. This is stuff that I talk about all the time, which is why you should join the BIO, because we talk about science. And I also minor in physics as well. But my last statement is, yeah, you have to have goals, you have to have a deadline, you have to work as a team, you have to have strategies, and you have to have an alternative. You have to give people reasons to support your cause. And with that, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you comment down below, tell us what you think, and of course, subscribe. Of course, sign up to the website at baioafricstan.org/register. All right, everyone. Hope everyone has a good rest of the day, and we will see you next time.
Peace.